Welcome back for round two of this power steering saga, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, pain in the ass. So let me show you what I just got done here. Alright, so I had this box all tore apart last night, and that's when I found out about all the little ball bearings that are in there. So this morning I came out, and I wanted to put it back together to make sure I knew how everything went. I watched a couple of videos last night, but I was tired. I fell asleep through half of it. But I pretty much got the idea. So I put this together, and it's working. So now I'm a little more confident about the other box. Everything I spun lock to lock, but in my haste I didn't put the snap ring and the cap back in the back of this. So as I turned it and was turning the steering this way, this big plunger came out. Normally there's the cap and a snap ring that stops it. Well, it came out. All the bearings fall down between it and the shaft up here, and so now it's all messed up. But I don't care because this is the other box. So I'm going to gut the other box now. I'm going to drill it, tap it, and put it back together, and I am praying that it works because I'm tired and I'm out of time. So let's get going on that. Alright, so I gutted this old box again just to pull it apart, and I'm really tempted to just stick the guts of the other one in there. It does have a couple of little, you can barely feel some grooves on the inside of it, and I kind of hate to put two old seal surfaces together that were never meant to be, and I could see it doing the same as this. So I'm gonna go ahead and gut the other box and tap it. I'm trying to be quick and everything, and usually haste makes waste, so I'm just gonna gut that other one. And worst case, if it don't work, maybe I'll throw the guts in this, and if that don't work, I give up. So, but yeah, and believe it or not, I had my table all cleared off, and I did a little shop cleaning during the week, and here's what it looks like right now. I got oil all over my floor. I got steering boxes, oil all over Sanford. Like, it's been quite a project, but I think hopefully we're on the home stretch. So I'm going to go ahead and gut this other box. Alrighty, so I got this other box all cleaned up, kind of, and I went ahead and center punched where I'm going to drill it. And then from what I saw on the interwebs, that this depth this is a nut here, and then that's basically a jam nut. And so this depth kind of matters. So they say to put a punch mark on this one, on this little jam nut, and then one up here. So everything's aligned. When you thread it all back down, it's where it needs to be. So basically you just got to break this jam nut free by half a thread or so, and then you can put a spanner wrench in here and unthread that. And I don't have it back here, but yeah, I'll show you the spanner wrench I made last night. So I'll kind of do a video on tearing this apart. So I don't think I really did much for the other one, but I'll show you kind of how this comes apart now that I kind of did a trial and error last night. From what I remember, I was half asleep when I did it. So yeah, we'll get this marked and pull this apart. Just keep everything in line. Okay. Okay, so that should time those. And then this is the only wrench I have for this, not my tear steering boxes apart on it. Oh, the whole thing's moving, so. This is the wrench I made last night. Super basic, some flat bar I welded, a couple little tiny screws. I sheared off a couple of the mild grade screws I used. So these are like grade 8s, and they actually broke the one last night free. It looks like this one is going to come right apart for us today. So maybe the sun is shining on us.
There, I was watching with my eyes, not the camera.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave this one thread in until I get everything else torn apart. Okay, so we got that broke free. Then there's a snap ring back here. We may need to go to my other table now. I'm going back and forth in the shop from one table to the other because this one's got my big vise, but it's cluttered, and then the other one's got my little vise, but it has a tiny bit more room than this. So let's go up to the front of the shop. All right, so another little trick I found last night, I never knew it, but there's a little tiny hole right here, and what that does is gives you access to push on this big heavy snap ring that's in here. It goes all the way around and holds this back cap in there. So I've dug and pried, and last night me and Julianne it took us about 20 minutes to get this snap ring out of here, and then I watched a video and the guy just pushed through that hole, pushed that out, got a screwdriver in there and just zipped it out. So I'm going to attempt it on this one. Let's see if we can do it as easily as he did it. Might need to do a little tappy tap on it. The crust and rust broke free. Or not.
Not.
Oh, that's another deal. This is kind of just. Oh, that broke free already. Cut. This is pretty rusted in there, and then this plunger just kind of floats around in there, and I had to center the box and then just tap this back, and that broke everything free. And now I'm going through that hole. I was able to, once I got everything freed up, it does get this little snap ring out. Big snap ring. These things have a ton of tension on them, and they're definitely a pain in the butt to dig out of here. And then you get all the corrosion down in the groove. I mean, this thing, look at that. It was all pretty well rusted in here. This is probably going to be a pain to come out, but you can turn the box and the worm gear will push it out and remove that. Like I say, there's bearings in here, so don't, you know, have a pan or something like that to catch all this crap in when you do this.
Do have a pan.
Do. Right
Don't
here.
just dump
Turkey,
it out.
Thanksgiving. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to learn about a steering box. All right, now we're gonna pull this cover off. Hopefully I don't drop the box on the floor. I hope I can get it out, because now with those bearings that did their thing, I don't know if that's gonna get centered again. So we're gonna find out. So this is going about as well as everything has on this project. So I was trying to get this plunger out, and in doing that, some of the bearings fell down in there. This seems to be a little bit locked up, and you got to kind of have this piece centered for it to come out. But we can hopefully just oh, there we go. Yeah, so yeah, it's locked up. The bearings are in there. I'm gonna do a oh yeah, you can see it right there. So yeah, that's what happens when it's not centered. It goes in under that. So what we got to do somehow, between wiggling and jiggling, get that back to center. If these stupid bearings will cooperate. And that's what this piece here should come out of there. Oh. Push that back in a little bit.
There, almost.
Okay, now we're centered. And that comes out. So this, you don't have to take this off. All this does is changes the height of this, which sets your gear mesh inside the box. So that's set at factory. And as these wear, you're supposed to be able to adjust this and set the gear down deeper and tighten the mesh on them. And it's kind of a temporary fix or to get you by for a while. But okay, we got that out. All right, and then hopefully this should unthread. I don't remember, was there snap rings in here?
I believe so.
I don't see anything.
Thought there was.
I thought there was too. And that, as you see, when you turn this, there's a worm gear, and it's got all them bearings on it. And it'll pull this back and forth, and that's what steers it. But hopefully, that'll hit that. And this should just walk right out of there. And yeah, I know, I don't want to put clamps on this, but what do you do? There we go. Okay, so now this shaft is coming out, and all these bearings in here are gonna fall. So I like to
dump them all
Here, I'll
inside,
dump them.
basically.
Okay.
There's no worms.
Oh, and there goes the washer and thrust bearing. Okay, and then they say keep this stuff in order, and there should be one more
And
thrust
facing
washer.
the correct way.
Yeah. Oh, oil just kind of keeps it suction. I can't get it. There we go. Okay. And so then this one. Oops. So these are crowned, and so the crown is going to go to the bearing, and it's like almost a spring washer. So that's if you do drop them, and then I do try and keep it orientated top to bottom, whatever. I don't know that it matters, but yeah. Okay, so that's out. So now this is going to be the crappy part, because I don't know if this back plunger is going to want to come out, and I don't want to lose all those bearings.
Need a tray.
You don't. We can.
Not all of them?
I don't know. So, are you?
Yes.
They're supposed to be, I've heard, between 22 and 24. The most of what I've seen so far, there's 22 of these. And that's what my last box had. So we got 2, what is that? 6 there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we're missing 1. So that's probably in there. There's a little tube, a transfer tube in there. But that one. Oh.
Oh,
Okay, there's 24. All right, so
So,
yeah, 22 to 24 bearings is what is in these. All right, now.
the other one had 22.
Yeah. See if we can just push this plunger out here.
Oh,
That's a big boom.
tannerite or something.
Okay, it took some beating and hammering. This thing was pretty well corroded in. There's a O-ring right here and everything, so I was just trying to be careful and not to wreck anything. This is the inside, basically what runs the gears. I dropped a socket inside that I had to use to drive that out. But yeah, Okay, so we got that. So this box at this point is torn apart enough for me to drill. And that feels smooth. Oh, feel that one. So yeah, when you compare this bore to the one that's bad, this thing's, you might even be able to see it. We get out here in the daylight. But you can see some major, and you can feel these big grooves. So if oil isn't able to seal in that and build the pressure it needs to come out of these, then you have no pressure, no power steering. All right, here goes nothing. We're doing this by hand. I'm going to plow them through these holes, or these center punches here. I'm going to start with just a small bit. For an 1/8 inch pipe, it's a letter R machinist drill bit, or I don't know, something close to that. It's like, I don't know, probably 3/8 somewhere there. But I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this little drill, and then I'm going to go a couple sizes bigger, and then I'm going to finish it with that, and hopefully my hole is pretty much what it needs to be. So bear with us, because we're doing it. That was straight and through with the wood. Well, we either destroyed a box or we're on the road to recovery, so there's one down. There's two. I'll swap my bit and step her up. I think this is a letter N drill bit I'm using. And that one's through. And that one's through, so we're close. I did pack paper towels all around, hopefully to keep most of my shavings in here, but I'm going to blow it out, hose it out with carb cleaner and everything else. So hopefully this will all be worth it. So now I'm stepping up to the R drill bit, and that's the final one, and we ram a tap in her. All right, here we go. Final. Nope. Take it there. Alrighty, so there are my holes. I'm gonna get in. There's gonna be a little bit of a burr in there, so I'm gonna take like some 300 grit sandpaper or something. This one's not gonna matter too much, but those Teflon rings are in here, and I don't want that to gouge those up in any way. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll tap it. All right, so we're going to get ready to tap this thing. I'm going to try it freehand. Hopefully I can get it in. So this thickness is really shallow. It's maybe 3/16 or so. So I'm going to tap this hole first so I can get my fitting to seal up nice and get, you know, good threads on it. And this one here, I'm going to probably tap, and then I may end up having to cut this tap off. I don't know. We'll see. But I need this to get a good seal on it, but also not poke through and get in here. So I want this almost flush with the bottom of this opening. So we'll see what we end up with. All right, so I ran the tap in here, and I'm kind of sneaking up on it. I'll give it a couple twists, but the shank on the fitting, this isn't the fitting I'm using, but it's the same deal. But there's not much thread there, so I want to be able to, when I torque it down, I want to get enough threads I don't strip it, and I want to get into that taper good. So I'm going to go another maybe 2 turns with my tap, and then put a wrench on this and tighten it down. So hopefully it'll go in and seal up good, and then we'll do this other one. So I've got my tap in there. It's tapping pretty easy, but we're just going to go another couple turns, and we'll get it to where we can get that fitting in there. I'm going to call that good. Yeah, and then I'm going to jump onto the other one. All right, so that's tightened down in there. I got pretty much full thread engagement. When I put my other one in, I'll probably just snug it a little bit, but I'm real confident in how this one turned out. So I'll go ahead and run a tap in this, and same thing, like I say, I gotta make sure I get good engagement, but yet that my fitting doesn't poke out through the bottom. And if it does, I'll grind off the bottom of the fitting or do whatever to make it happen. So here we go with this one. All right, so that one's done. I've got good engagement. I've used all the threads pretty much. It's not poking out through there. Everything's looking good. I'll clean all these shavings out of here, blow this thing out really good, and we'll put it together, and I am praying that this solves the problem. So there's more shavings in there than one would think. Before I blew all this out or did anything, and a guy could blow that port out and everything, but before I blow all that around, I took a magnet and just stuck it in there. This is what came out. I'm going to do that a couple times and get as much as I possibly can before I go and blow a bunch of little stuff around. But yeah, just something to be a little more safe than sorry. I got most of the stuff out. I haven't blown it out yet, but I'm going to take, this is a little bit of 2000 grit sandpaper, little PB blaster on it, and I'm just going to, there's barely, after tapping that, it kind of broke the little lip that was in there, but I can still feel a little something. So I just want to kind of get in here and just knock any edges or anything off, and hopefully we have a decent seal on this and I don't booger up any of the other stuff. That should just knock any sharp edges off, I hope. So yeah, now she's nice and smooth, so I think that'll work. This other one, it's up kind of in its own, this one's in its own kind of chamber. There's really nothing going to get in the way, even if there is a booger, but I don't really feel anything in there, so I think it's good. So alrighty, well, I'm going to blow it out and we are ready to assemble this thing. Well, we're getting ready to put back together. So this is the piece that has all the little bearings in there. So this is like threaded in here, and then that shaft is threaded. And right now there's nothing for it to auger on, but these little balls will ride in here and in the grooves in that other piece, and that's what basically makes a thread that will run that other piece with the gear on it up and down, which makes this shaft turn right and left. So to get all these bearings in here, there's this little tube, and I believe it's kind of a bypass tube that when you bottom out going one direction, some of the bearings got to come up and go into this tube and vice versa. So this is all hollow in here, and sometimes there'll be a bearing or two stuck in there or something. So that's also another thing. When you pop these out, be careful and just make sure to watch for little bearings. So we all know how we love ball bearings. All right, so I got that out, and this piece, it's a transfer deal, like I say, where one goes in from the other, but it's 2 pieces, and it just comes out of there. You got a couple of, I think they're 3/8 little bolts in this little keeper that goes on there. But when you put this together, you'll put the bearings through this front hole, and you just want to make sure when you're doing it that you're not pushing them out this and they're going all over in the box. So just kind of, you got to kind of watch. It's a timely process. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But I'll show you, and yeah, we're going to put this thing together, and I'm going to lube all this up before I slide it in the housing. I'll lube up inside the housing too, so hopefully we can keep all our O-rings and Teflon seals and everything, because I didn't have a kit for this. Nobody in town's got one, so again, it's a hope and a prayer. All right, so that plunger piece is in there. There's the gears that are on it. So where these ball bearings go is in here, and this will, I don't know if, yeah, okay. So it'll rotate, and you got to get it to where, let me go over here, you can get the bearings into this hole. It's the opposite side of where the shaft comes down here. So you want to feed them into here, and you got to work it back and forth when I put this other piece in here and work the threads and get them to feed down in there. So I just wanted to show you that this will spin around in there. Well, you want to make sure it slides around nice. It has a little drag on it, but it moves freely and everything, but you can feel that it has a seal. And then, yeah, we'll stick this threaded piece in here. I want to wipe it off and lube it up, and then we'll jam it in there. So I got the shaft in here, and I tightened this down enough to where this dot and the one on the housing is lined up, and then when I just snug this, that should line that up. So that'll be set back to what it was originally. And then this plunger piece in here with the gear, you need to slide it all the way forward to the front of the box before you load your bearings in, and you'll see there's the hole you're going to put them in. It's right there. And as you work these, you're going to turn the shaft a little bit. You know, just try and push them down in there. Wiggle and jiggle the shaft, and they'll just start slurping them up in there. But as you load them in, this is going to end up walking back, and you'll fill that whole thing full of all these little BBs. And then when you're done, put the cap on the back here before you twist and do anything, because you'll push this plunger out, all your BBs will fall between the front shaft and the centerpiece, and you got to start all over. So don't ask me how I know. So but yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start pumping the BBs into this thing, and the last one didn't go too long once I figured out how to do it. So I don't know, hopefully this will go the same. And there's one. Just kind of wiggle them, and then they disappear. Damn it. Sticking to my fingers. Alright, so you can see where this hole is here. And you just drop your little bearings in there and take something and poke them. What you're doing is you're winding them around that thread in there. So I've been fighting it, but I think I finally found the right way to do it. And it's going pretty quick now. I just drop one in, poke it down in, drop one in, poke it down in there. And then I was wiggling this, but as this separated, I think some of the bearings are going to the end and getting caught between this pocket of this piston. And so I'm not turning anything, I'm not doing anything, I'm just poking them down around, and they're just working their way around in there. And again, that piston's all the way forward, and we'll load that, we'll finish loading this up, and then we'll center the gear, put this cap on, and hopefully we're done.
Last one.
Okay. Oh shit. Were they all just pumping out of here? That was what he was talking about. It can't be that easy, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey. Okay.
So
not that technique. There's another technique.
Well, hopefully we can push them backward. I'm going to magnet. So those are probably the two that got to go into that horseshoe like he was
we
talking.
have this little...
So it's that one. Oh, we'll do 3 into the horseshoe, huh?
He did say a few of them
Maybe
go
4
in there.
into the horseshoe. Well, everybody, I think you see how my weekend's going to go. So if this works, it is going to be an absolute miracle. Because as you can tell, I have not got a clue as to what I'm doing here. So, drop that one in. Drop that one on the floor. Cleanliness doesn't matter no more. Okay, so there's the two.
This horseshoe.
Yep. And that's gonna be able to get my bolts on there. Okay, that's gonna be fun to get this in there. This thing's kind of a clunky pile of crap, especially when you got two bearings in there. Maybe I can put this one in that back hole. Where did that go? Oh, it went in. Sweet. I think that one's in there. Yep. And maybe that one will just sit right there, and then I can clamp that over the hose. That's feeling pretty happy right there. I'm going to look to make sure there are no more balls anywhere in here. And then there's a retaining strap, of course. Anybody with fat fingers is going to be hating life here. One of these magnets is your best buddy. With any luck, you don't pull a ball out. Alrighty. That one is started. Oops. I should be able to turn this now. I just worry about balls falling out, but at this point, this should be functioning the way it's designed to. So, but my fingers are not. A lot more long-winded than it appeared to be. Okay, so now hopefully I can spin that still. Okay, well, that's done. Now we got to spin that to get the gear up to the top, and hopefully that's not too hard to do. Okay. That should be
centered.
Pretty close. Something like that. All right. Believe it or not, I'm not going to say we're winning, but
everybody say a prayer for Sanford.
We're putting this shaft back in, hopefully. I went ahead and smeared just a super thin coat of silicone on there just to help seal that up. There we go.
Oh, do I have to hammer it?
Yeah. So yeah, because that gasket that goes in there is a little bit dry and crusty, and I don't have any, so
and the parts
that
are
might
open.
do it. I don't know if when this gets in there, that just seals up against it. Trying to find the happy spot. It feels like it likes it right there. I should have marked that as to where it.
Oh, there it goes. Easy.
Okay, now this thing is crusty. I think I'm going to go wire wheel that real quick. Now, hopefully that'll fit in there. There we go.
Whoa.
Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So putting this in, that again is your hole for accessing this. Try and line it up to where if you can push something in there, you'll get that outer edge on it. And this thing's probably going to be a pain in the butt, but I think I got that in there. I might need to tap that in there a little bit more. Fit in. So yeah, this is gonna take a little bit of
eyes.
patience here, but
You get the idea.
yeah. Alrighty, this thing is all together. I got to tighten this jam nut, but I just wanted to check it all out before. We're drilled and tapped. It turns really nice. This is pretty much exactly how the other one was. So that's centered up, so I'll know where my arm's gonna go. So I'm hoping this is a success. I got to put the other fittings in here still. And then the only other crappy thing, it's like if there couldn't be any more in this project. So this is what I had. This is the shaft where the steering column goes in the other box. And naturally, it couldn't possibly be the same as what the other boxes. I have 2 or 3 other boxes laying around. This is the only one that was the bastard one, and everything on here has been made for this one. So I have to now use this, which I like this better. The other piece to the column, this is one of them crappy, I don't know, it's the little square U-joint thing. This thing's been blown up and binding and everything. So this is originally what was on Sanford, and when I swapped from the PSC original box to this other box I blew up, I had to swap this out. So I'm going to put this back on, and I think we can try this thing out. So yeah, I'm going to tighten that up, put some fittings in it, and bolt this thing on. That's 3 of them started. And then tons of room. Alrighty. We're on. Hopefully the winning. The old beams to it. Might as well strip out the box while we're here. Huh?
Didn't spend 18 hours for nothing.
No. It's a learning experience. Alright, my ratchet. we are minutes away. Because I can start, I should be able to crank it with my hand to see if it even makes any weird sounds or does anything cool.
Oh my goodness.
Alrighty, so the box is kind of in. Everything's done other than I haven't cut and made this column hook up. And I left the drag link off so that I can find out when I steer it if my ram works and if we accomplished anything in the last 18, 19 hours. So let's hit the juice on this and see what we got. I guess I can't turn it from steering wheel. Well, it ain't spraying everywhere, so that's one win. My ram ain't working. It still ain't seeming right, but I need to flip-flop my lines on my ram, probably hook up the drag link and maybe cycling that ram will get air and everything out of the system, but it still doesn't quite seem what it should. Around you. winter, ladies and gentlemen, finally. So I got to get my steering column hooked up and cycle it more, and then I got to make sure everything's tight. I got to get some shorter bolts for the arms.
I see a problem.
And I think,
It isn't leaking.
well, there's plenty here. We don't know which is fresh leaks and what's old leaks. Yeah, there's no smoke pouring out. The box didn't blow in half. This didn't geyser out. Didn't turn into an electric or a hydraulic motor, so I can turn it with these very effortlessly. That was like 3 fingers, and I mean, yeah, it's on the jack right now, but I couldn't turn it at all before. So
Yeah.
I think we succeeded. So I'm gonna get this wherever it went piece of column, this guy, spliced back in and hooked up, and then we got a couple little things to load up, and we're hopefully ready to go. So yeah, let's move on to that. You guys might recognize this bar from about a week ago when I made some little spacers for my tie rod. So I just cut another little chunk of this tubing, and I'm using it on my steering column to, believe it or not, put back the original piece that I cut off to adapt to this style on the other box. So they're the same lengths and everything, so I just basically had to cut the old sleeve off. I put this together, put my sleeve on, and hopefully my steering's back together and going, and we can actually truly cycle that sitting on the ground, not moving. So that's what I'm doing right now. New steering column off the powder coat. There we go.
Smoking.
Smoking. See if I can't brand myself. Well, as it is before every run you go on, the shop's a total disaster. This one looks like I just built this whole Jeep in this weekend. I think I'm into this power steering mess. 22 hours, maybe 24 hours of my weekend has been nothing but redoing pumps, redoing this box, dragging every single tool I own out, cleaning, or well, messing up my bench, using about 6 rolls of blue paper towels, basically destroying some clothes. Yeah, my floor is well lubricated. It's all over the place. But we won, so it's worth it, and we're gonna have a good time. So we're gonna finish up the last little bit on this thing. Sanford Bastard Steering, take 15. We're gonna try this out. I got the steering column hooked up now. So hopefully nothing's changed, and hopefully we can cross this off the list. So let's see what we got. That is a first for me to ever open up a steering box, drill and tap one or anything. And I mean, it's always been a fear of mine, and there's a lot of stuff, like to this day, I suck with carburetors. I've tried to rebuild alternators. There's just stuff I tear it apart, it doesn't work. I really figured this was one of those, and I definitely tried my best on this, and definitely tried not to overlook or shortcut anything on it, and I think it paid off. Doesn't seem to be leaking or anything. I'll take it for a little romp around, because I still haven't driven it with redoing the propane and stuff, so I got to take it for a little zip through my field. And I think other than a couple bolts and tightening a few things up, we're done. So we made it, and we're gonna go out on some adventures. We got some stuff coming up, and it's gonna be a good time. So please like, subscribe. Hopefully you guys got something for this. Not what to do, you know, and some things to do. You know, it's like hopefully I could help bring closure to some of this mystery. So cross this one off the list, and stay tuned for more.